Chapter 1. The Manor. The cock crowed before dawn, but Sir William de Langley was already awake. A knight's life was not filled with endless glory, as the songs claimed, but with the business of keeping men alive and fields tilled. He rose from his bed in the manor house, a timber hall set upon a low rise above the village. The rushes on the floor smelled faintly of last night's smoke and spilled ale. He pulled on his woolen tunic, fastened his belt, and descended into the hall below, where a fire struggled against the chill of early spring. Outside, the air was damp and earthy. From his doorway he could see the narrow strips of farmland stretching outward, broken by hedges and ditches. Smoke rose from the cottages of his tenants, who were already at work. Their livelihood was his livelihood, and though they bent the knee when he rode past in armor, he knew well that their muttered curses followed whenever he demanded rents or levies for the king. The steward, Master Robert, approached, carrying a roll of parchment. "My lord," he said, bowing, "there is quarrel between John of the Mill and Stephen Atbrook. A matter of grazing rights." William sighed. Quarrels over land were as common as rain. He walked down to the village green, where two men stood red-faced, shouting. A crowd of peasants had gathered, whispering and watching their knight with wary eyes. "Enough!" William commanded, his voice firm. The men fell silent. He listened to their claims. One accused the other of letting sheep wander across his strip, ruining the barley. It was not sword work that tested a knight's mettle, but patience. After hearing both sides, William ruled the sheep would be penned and compensation in grain given before Michaelmas. Neither man was happy, but both bowed. Justice, William thought, was rarely about satisfaction. It was about order. By midday he returned to the hall where his wife, Lady Eleanor, directed the servants in preparing the meal: pottage of peas, a little pork salted from winter, and bread coarse with rye. Their children ate beside them. John, his eldest son and heir, barely 14 and already eager to prove himself with sword and lance. Margaret, his daughter, who would one day be wed to secure an alliance with another family. After the meal, William led John to the small yard beside the stables. There, with wooden wasters, they practiced the sword. The boy's strokes were clumsy, full of youthful eagerness but lacking control. William corrected his stance, showing him how to keep the shield high, how to strike not with fury but with precision. "You fight not for yourself alone," William told him, lowering his practice blade. "A knight bears the weight of others, his family, his tenants, his oath. Remember that." As the day waned, William mounted his destrier, a tall bay warhorse named Ashwell. Clad not in gleaming armor, but in a plain riding cloak, he rode the bounds of his land. He passed the open fields, the parish church where the bell tolled for evening prayers, and the cottages where smoke curled from hearths. This was his realm, humble though it was. On the far rise he paused. The wind carried the scent of damp earth and the distant murmur of voices. He thought of the king's wars across the sea, of debts owed, of duties yet to come. Knights in ballads sought dragons and honor. William sought only to keep his land, his family, and his oath. And so the sun set over Langley, not with trumpet or fanfare, but with the quiet labor of peasants, the prayers of the church, and the silent burden of a night.